All right.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Fancy seeing you here.
Good. Hella. Thanks for coming. How are you doing?
Today has been quite a journey, I've got to say, because as I say, I have been really looking forward to trying the VR1. Thank you so much for inviting me
Thanks for
over. I really
coming
do appreciate
before
it. Especially,
Christmas.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, really late as well. But yeah, it's been a really, really intriguing day, and it's made me very excited for this headset, particularly for the flight sim crowd, as well, which is my niche, obviously. But yeah, there's a few things that I've really been surprised about, and that is a lot of the development you're doing is in house. A lot of the
Almost everything,
software,
like
pretty much
95%.
everything is.
95%, yeah.
You're not leaning on any other manufacturer, any other developer.
Yeah.
You're doing everything here, and I find that quite mind blowing for the fact that this is your sort of first big venture into producing such a high end VR headset. You're not taking it lightly at all.
I mean, VR engineers, guys, they have years of experience with Xtal, but this is our first
That
common
shows.
project to do the consumer grade
Yes.
headset or
And-
prosumer grade headset.
And that connection definitely shows, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, how do you see in terms of like the VR1? Do you feel it's about ready now to?
As I told you
ship?
before, so we are tweaking. So I showed you the things we're still tweaking, like
Yeah.
the head strap and things. We're
Yes.
still tweaking. And thanks for the feedback as well. He has a big head.
I have a very big head. It's very true.
But so there's some like face cushion. You found it really comfortable, but we're still tweaking it. We'll
Yes.
like add a lot of like layers here and like that. So it will be better. But overall, in terms of the optical stack, we're still tweaking some warping just to make it even better because the
didn't notice any
calculations,
warping,
but
personally.
the calculations are changing, and we're just applying different models to see what works best. But overall, it's, as I said, it's 95% there. We just need to tweak all the last 5% can take us several months, which is fine. We're taking
Yes,
the time,
of course, yeah.
but we're confident that we're getting there.
Trying to think about sort of in terms of the comfort, like it's interesting because obviously I have got a massive head, but then Melissa, my partner, you found it way more comfortable than I did. So I guess VR is such a personal thing, isn't it? It's so hard to
super personal.
You're not gonna. I like what you said as well. You said it's impossible to make everybody happy with the headset. It's impossible. It's like clothes or whatever, anything that's very personal to you. It's going to be it's impossible to cater for everybody. But I do think with those tweaks with the strap, I do feel that it will be really super comfortable. Definitely.
Yeah, I have a small head, so for me it's super comfortable already. I'm biased, of course, but people don't believe me. But
Yeah.
it's comfortable for me. But yeah, I again, those tweaks we can do. That's not that difficult tweaks to do. But for us, the optical stack, the sweet spot, all of these things, these are like the most important part to nail down.
Yeah.
And the hardest ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's we feel like it's already almost there.
And it was I'm glad actually that Melissa tried it because of her IPD. And I know you were really worried about this.
Oh, jeez. Hello, Voodoo.
Yeah. I was thinking, it'd be a really good experiment.
She has 58 and a half. Let's just sell it to the...
Yeah, 50, it's 58, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, 58?
Yes,
Jeez.
super low. And I know that you can struggle with some VR headsets, that I've claimed to be 58 at the minimum. Well, yours is 60.
60 we claim, yeah.
But but you absolutely loved it, didn't you? And I think the reason why is because the optics, the sweet spot is actually really wide, very wide. And I always thought, spheric lenses are very good anyway, but that was, when I first tried spheric lenses, I was used to Fresnel lenses, which obviously are like, oh, really,
the God rays.
Yeah, the God rays and the tiny sweet spot, the blurriness. We all know. We're stepping away from that, but this feels like a Gen 2 aspheric lens. It feels like the next stage. And I was a bit concerned with the wider field of view as well. I thought with that wider field of view, it's either going to have issues with binocular overlap. No, there's no issues. Not for me anyway. Obviously this is all my personal
it's 90 degrees. It's good.
Yeah, you know, my IPD is pretty much the same as yours, which is interesting. I think that's probably why I'm feeling the way I am. Like I'm so super happy
You're
with it.
65, I'm 63 and a half, 64, depends.
But then this is why I'm glad that, you know, we had different IPDs so we could try it as well. And the binocular overlap is superb, even with that wider field of view, which is superb. I was getting about 120 degrees. That's
Yeah, and
quite
the interesting
real.
fact that you just actually increased the IPD,
Oh,
but still,
yes.
that's an interesting thing you tried.
Yeah.
That's
I
yeah.
actually increased the IPD to its maximum, which usually for me would feel a bit blurry, but I actually found that I was able to still be in the image. It's still very crisp for me, quite comfortable. I mean, I can't say perhaps if I had that setting for a couple of hours, it might give me a headache. I don't know that yet because I can't test it. But from my minimal sort of, you know, well, for about 5-10 minutes of being in the headset with that wider field of view, wide IPD setting, it felt fine to me.
Yeah.
So but I think that just showcases the optics and how there is a lot of room.
Yeah,
to be
so
able
at
to,
65, you got 120 degrees FOE, and then
yeah,
you
yeah.
increase it and you got 126, 24,
124,
24,
124.
yeah, 24. So, yeah, it's interesting.
If you consider that's
That's a lot.
really wide, guys, like, you know, especially
Image
as
distortion, you didn't feel any?
no, which is kind of annoying because I wanted to find it.
He was trying.
I was literally like
I
this.
promise you, he was trying.
You know, like the 2% of the actual image was like I was trying to find if I could see it blue, and I thought, well, come on, you're not going to be wearing or using a headset like that anyway. Let's just use it in a normal case environment. You know, for me, flying and using a cockpit, looking at text and moving my head around to see if I could see the text warping, which
Yep.
it does, by the way, in other headsets a lot. Even the Quest 3, actually, which no one really mentions about warping. I complain about the warping in the Quest 3, but I did notice it with the VR-1, which is fantastic. So I'm almost a bit nervous because you're still tweaking it. I personally feel it's there, but what do I know? You know, I'm not an engineer.
Yeah, so
but
the lenses he tried, and that was fact for the other guys who visited us.
Yeah.
All the lenses, they didn't have any coating. And the reason is we have a Czech producer of the lenses. So it's all ready, but we just didn't have enough time to code before, because we're always doing in batches right now. We're always testing batches of new lenses. So we're getting like 20, 40 lenses. We go through the inspection of the quality, as you've seen, then we pick and choose the lenses. But we didn't have time to do the coding. So it's the first time you've seen the lenses without any coding, without anti-glare coding, without anti-scratch coding and things like that. And still, for me as well, by the way, it looks good.
Yeah.
It's there, but with the coding, it will be even better.
Yeah, I think, as I say, the only thing I did complain about really was the chromatic aberration, which I did notice. Again, it wasn't, to me, a massive deal breaker, but I did notice it was there. But I think that is down to, obviously, it being, you know, without the coatings.
Coding will improve it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And one more thing we have, which we're still testing, we have came up with a quite unique, I think world's first hardware fix to eliminate everything from chromatic aberration on the highest possible field of view. But if it works as we intend, it adds up some costs to the headset. So what we're thinking is we'll make it as an option, because honestly, the chromatic aberration on the VR1 right now, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
With the coding, it will bother me even less. But if someone really wants to get rid of it and it's ready to pay a couple €100 more,
I think they will.
Then we'll just give you it as an option.
Yeah.
So you'll be like, I don't know, we need to find out some cool name like chromatic aberration annihilator or something like that. You just press that button and it's just like, you know, that will apply that hardware fix. It's a hardware fix for the headset. And like it was not ever used before in any headset.
Know my crowd, and you're probably watching this now. You're already specking that up. I know you are, because we are very picky. Flight simmers are probably more picky than sort of general VR gamers.
You are, guys.
And I know, you know, in the past, like when I've reviewed headsets and then people have been moaning about chromatic aberration. For me, it's not a huge deal, but I've learned to look for it more because people moan about it so much. So now I'm looking for it more. And when you look for it, you do see it. So it's one of those things that if there is that option there, I think that'd be a fantastic idea to do that. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
For me, by default, it's fine. Like I really like, especially when you're in a scene, you barely see it.
Yeah, but I mean,
Was it disturbing you in the cockpit, by the way?
no, not at all.
Yeah,
No.
just wanted to hear that because there's a lot of buttons, there's a lot of text, and things like that.
The thing is, if you left it as it was, I wouldn't actually be bothered with it at all. It wouldn't bother me, but I know from my community that it would bother some people. So it's something that I kind of have to look
I know them
out for
by
them.
names, all of them.
Yes.
The picky ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
No, but we'll have the hardware. Hopefully, it will work as intended. We're testing it right now. We're waiting for latest samples of our applied tests, and if it works as intended, it will take down, like, I don't want to say 100, but 98% of all the chromatic aberration on all the field of view.
I mean, come on, guys. Seriously, what more do you want, really? If that is the case,
but that's very experimental, and I hope it works as we wanted. And I will let you know in the blog post, by the way, if it works. I
could try it today. That's such a shame.
We don't have it yet. We are waiting for the samples.
I'll just wait here. It's fine.
Yeah, we did the math. We sent everything to the producer, and we're waiting for that. I cannot tell you what it is and how it works because it's like super secret. But if it works, I'd be like, honestly, for me, it's not that big deal. But I know some people will be like, oh my god, just shut up and take my money. Like,
honestly,
no chromatic aberration.
Of course they would, because I think a lot of people, this headset will be the headset that they'll want to keep and own and use for years to come.
That's what it's built for, yeah.
That's the idea. It's an investment headset. It's not the kind of thing that you just...
Oh, we can talk about the price. Everybody wants to know the price. And he doesn't know the price. He doesn't know the price.
I would love to know the price.
Okay, so just the thing before, like, a lot of people are asking me about the price, and they're like, why are you telling the price? Because as you've seen, the production process is a very complex one. There's a lot of things coming in, and we know the ballpark of the price, but we cannot pin it down to the euro still, because we're not someone who is saying, okay, here's what our costs are, let's just mark it up crazy high, and we don't care if we are missing, there's a couple of... We're trying to make some margin. Obviously, we need to make money because we are doing it for our own money.
Yes.
We're developing it for our money. But we don't want to mark it up incredibly high so that it's still affordable for consumers or prosumers, right? So that being said, our starting target price for the base version of the headset is 18.99 euros. And what we said is it will be between that and the, let's say, XR4 starting price. So depending how you spec it.
Yes.
So that's your range.
Okay, thank you for that, because I know that people have been wanting to know that for a very long time. So
yeah. So it's if I talk in a VR enthusiast words, which I am, so it's between Pimax Crystal and XR4.
Yeah, well,
yield specs will be like
let's not beat around the bush here. It's better than the Crystal by a long way in terms of visual fidelity and field of view. Obviously, you don't have to use a battery. It's a more desirable headset. I mean, guys, I love the Crystal, but this is, in my opinion, a more professional product, and I think people will definitely pay that for this. I really do believe that.
It's not for everyone. Like, we can't please everyone. It's okay.
I like that. I like how you're fine. That's fine. You're not trying to please everybody. And I think that's a really good attitude to have, because this is a very specific high-end PCVR headset, and I know from my use case scenario and using it today in DCS world and MSFS as well.
We spent quite a lot of hours, yeah.
Yes, I know. I've been here a long time, and I've loved every minute of it, and I enjoyed the kayak VR and all that, but to me, that didn't mean anything to me. Because I didn't understand what that meant. I've never tried that before, but once I was in Half-Life Alyx, which obviously everyone's tried that, and then into The Sims, then I realised that the jump in visual fidelity, and I don't just mean clarity, because clarity actually is clearer than the Crystal one, by the way, which is at the moment the clearest headset I've tried. So this is now the king of clarity. So there we are.
You're not worried about glass lenses and plastic lenses? Oh my god! What's wrong with you?
Exactly. No.
Sorry, because everybody's just...
You don't need to worry about that, folks, at all. You really don't. I was worried about possible glare because of the stack lens design. That's okay. I was worried about the field of view, making it a bit sort of with the binocular overlap, and of course the clarity. That's fine. It's just those little sort of areas, minor areas in terms of the comfort and the chromatic aberration. That's the only two things I could think of that I could moan about. I can't really think of anything else. You're even, for God's sake, you're even in-house team using the OpenXR runtime. You've got that sorted. I asked about motion reprojection, guys. That is all sorted in the software. You can, and this is the big deal that I was really surprised about with the pass-through, which is absolutely superb, as you'll probably have already seen in the video. I don't know, but it'll be coming. Is you can actually customize that at home with your own cockpit. That's, as far as I'm aware, a world first, unless
for consumers for sure.
It is, because otherwise you'd need a separate piece of software, at the very least, the piece of software, or you'd need a green screen or something like that. But this, you can map it out and actually have your own cockpit.
Like upload it through Blender, for example, make a very simplified model of your cockpit.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be that detailed.
Yeah.
You can just do it in Blender or a CAD file if you have it, and then just upload it and then calibrate it in your house, in your apartment.
Which brings sort of, professional flight training levels of realism into your own home. And are you feeling confident at this point? Now that you've seen and the feedback you've got, not just from me, but from all the other YouTubers, how are you feeling in terms of your confidence with the VR1 now?
I think the fact that I said the last 5% tweaking can take several months.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we want to do, because we'll need to do that, because a lot of people say, like, add a little bit counterweight on the hand strap here, do this longer there. Some people, again, every eye is different. Like for me, I'm kind of in your camp where the image which we already have, even without coding, is fine. I like it. I love it. But some people notice like here and there. But we also recognize quickly that some distortions they were seeing at some point of the image that was just the physical lens imperfection, because again, we just do these small batches right now, and people are checking manually instead of just doing this machine, because that machine you've seen is a new edition. We are doing it and calibrating it right now, so that is fixable. We know that, but overall, people liked it, and like they said, like image is brighter, clearer than everything they've seen.
It is. The brightness was something that it's weird actually, because you never know what your first impressions are going to be when you look through a VR headset for the first time. And I was looking for clarity and all the usual things, Mura, that kind of thing, which is all really good. Oh, I've just done that. I don't know how I've just put a thumbs up.
Oh, yeah, that's Apple magic.
Hey, look at that. Thumbs up. But it was actually the brightness that surprised me the most, because you think of brightness, you think, oh, is it like too much for your eyes? No, not at all. It actually really creates a more believable image, and it makes you sort of understand what you're looking at better, whether it's different materials in VR. When you're looking at a hand, it's got metal on it, the way it shines compared to the darker areas. And of course, the local dimming comes into play as well.
And it's so the local dimming we'll have to do the last part, and it's like probably like 10% done. We'll probably work on it for another 2 months until upon release.
And
so
if there is any ability to be able to have some sort of setting for the local,
there will be setting for everything.
Yeah, that's what
setting lovers. You will love it.
Exactly.
The tool will be
This is another thing that's really excited me. Like, obviously, being a bit of a proper VR geek, I love to tinker with settings and get the headset exactly where I want it.
We know. We know.
So whenever I've asked you, like, are you going to have that in the software? It's always a yes. So that's fantastic.
And it's not just words. Like the tool is like the alpha tool will have fully working in January, and then there will be several different iterations. And on Somnium Connect, probably in February, we'll be showing the full ready tool.
Brilliant.
And rendered FOV is the big part, because you measure your FOV, then you know exactly how much you need to render. You don't need to over render stuff, because the optics is capable of doing 130, but not many people see it. Like I see 128 and I'm superb. And I see 128, so why would I render additional like 2 degrees and additional like 4 degrees on the vertical? So that's what I would use a lot.
And again, that I haven't heard of before. I don't think that's
no, I've not seen it before.
It's almost like you're culling in the software. I mean, I guess you can do that in some of the debug tools with the Oculus, which I've actually recommended on the channel before. But to have that embedded within the software itself, again, is really helpful.
Saves performance, and it's just more. And even the image changes a bit, kind of more for your eye and stuff. So it's really like, for me, this is the main tool I would use.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
probably like, I like to play with contrast. We didn't show it to you today, but I like the contrast thing because I like vibrant images, and you can even make it more contrasty. So there's like a difference between bright and red and things
Yes.
like. So that's what I like. But again, everybody will be different. It's a very personal setting.
I feel very spoiled now. Like I'm,
Good. I
yeah,
like it.
it's kind of ruined me a little bit now. So I
Yeah.
hope I'll be able to showcase, because actually it's been interesting, because I'm really pleased that you've shown the headset using different systems as well. That's an important thing to mention. Yes, I've used the 4090, but I've also used a 3080 mobile processor, and of course the 3080 in DCS with the pass-through enabled as well.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm not, it did struggle a bit. I mean, I probably was getting around 35 frames per second, but the fact that a 3080 can do that in native resolution.
There was an all processor inside as well.
Really?
He said, yeah, Milan said it was the 3080 machine in the simulator.
Oh, of course,
Had
yeah.
had an older processor as well, so it was not the best machine.
Yeah.
But again, we wanted to
Yeah.
show you all different stacks of machines you can run
Yes,
it
of
on.
course, yeah. But I mean, I think for a lot of people who are going to jump in,
Yeah,
all
just
in
buy
like this,
4090 and
just get a
come on.
4090, guys, absolutely. And yeah, it's exciting me that it's future proofing the headset as well, really, because when new GPUs come out, by the way, AMD supported as well, which is amazing. Another question I asked, that's fantastic news, because so many users have like been desperate to jump on board with a headset of this quality. I know many of them out there actually that have AMD hardware that will now be able to utilize the VR1 as well. So that's
And
fantastic.
just to mention that we're producing it, like, first of all, a lot of iterations. The headsets you were testing today were manually assembled in-house here in this office.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic.
So you've seen the tools.
Yeah,
We're producing it in factory 2 hours from here. We'll send you the footage of the factory, so you'll be able to show
brilliant.
some
That'd be
footage of
great.
it.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's all done kind of locally here. Of course, the production ramp up will be not immediate, so it makes sense. Sorry for plug, but makes sense to reserve for free. Okay, just reserve your spot if you're interested in the future to buy the headset, because that you will guarantee yourself the earlier access to the purchase link before others.
yeah, that's worth knowing,
The,
folks.
the,
Honestly.
the reservation is free. We don't take any money. We don't take any pre-orders. It's, for God's sake, it's all good. But it makes sense because there will be people who will be ordering before, and you will get yourself a head start of several months. And depending, like, we had a lot of reservations already, so depending how many are there, that's the longer time you will have to wait, because we'll have to ramp up the factory. We have a lot of buffer, but still, it's.
And I just know the flight sim guys out there, we're impatient, me included. So you're going to want to click on that link, definitely. And yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on it in my own sort of environment, so I'm able to tinker with it, play with it more. I mean, it was great as well that you allowed me to mess around with it here. It wasn't like a controlled environment like I thought it would be. You showed me some demos, but I was able to sort of mess around as well and to sort of see it in different scenarios. So it wasn't as controlled as I expected it to be. Which is great again.
Yeah.
And I also asked about the build quality and the process of checking the panels, and this blew my mind a bit actually, because one thing I've been moaning about a lot on the channel recently, and VR headsets in general, is just the quality of those displays and finding dead pixels. It's just so heartbreaking when you're so excited about a headset, you receive it and it's not right. But you've actually got a tool that was it in-house again or developed?
No. There's another company doing it.
Sorry,
we're calibrating it with them.
But
for these specific screens, for these specific lenses and stuff.
And every headset is going to be checked.
Every panel, every lens in the entry point of. So when we receive the screens, we check it. Then we check it once again with the optical stack, which we have it there on the table, the big one, the big boys, which they're getting checked again with a special lens again. And then the software is recognizing whether they need that pixel, color inconsistency, gamma. There's a lot. I don't even know all the settings, honestly. So, yeah.
So that makes me glad that
that increase, because you have to realize, like, for example, Apple Vision Pro, there were reports that they are scraping 85% of the screens which Sony produces for them, and I feel them. I know it. So our scrape rate is not that high, but it's still high, and it also increases our cost. Like, when people ask, like, why are you charging this? Why it's not $900? Like, we can't. It's just impossible for us economically. So we're not subsidizing the headset. We have to sell it for a fair price.
Yeah. So in terms of like the increments, are you sort of in a position to sort of have a rough idea of how much of a jump it will be in terms of price?
I have a
from the
rough
base?
idea, but I cannot tell you right now.
Okay,
Because that's
fair
where we
enough.
need to kind of tweak still
Yeah.
for several months
Yeah.
before Somnium Connect. But yeah, of course, we have a rough idea of stuff. Some things will be a little less expensive, like eye tracking, for example, which is open source, which is, I think, a huge deal. Some things like mixed reality will be a little bit more expensive, but you can, mix and match stuff.
It is, having seen the mixed reality sort of demos and things, and well, more than that, actually seeing it in DCS with the full cockpit, it's made me realize that it really is worth getting the full
bad boy
version, the bad boy version.
We call it the bad boy here.
That's it now, yeah.
Yeah, that's the bad boy. We'll put it somewhere there, like the small print, the bad boy edition. Yeah.
So
thanks.
with the software integration, all of the technical things I've asked about, the OpenXR runtime, the motion reprojection, the dead pixel, sort of the high, build quality and checking that you do for every headset, and the fact that you are really opening and you're listening to everyone's feedback as well. I am really, really excited about this release, and I think, I just can't wait for everyone to try it and to experience what I have today. And you see, I'm grinning a bit today because I'm in a bit of a high after seeing what I've seen today. It's just been absolutely phenomenal. Like it's what I want from VR and XR into 2024, and I think it's a good time for you to release it because everyone wants that pass-through quality in their flight sims to be able to do it without too much hassle. Yeah, I can't wait to see what the finished product's going to be like, really.
Yeah, it's going to be similar, but in many ways, it's going to be more polished. Just because of a lot of 3D printed parts, for example, you've seen on the headset still.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like that, but it's still there.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. It's such a pleasure. Like I watch your channel, so it's always great to see faces, face to face instead of just online and stuff.
Yeah. No, it's always great to meet because I always find that when people meet, whether I feel like we've met before already.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Because we've got that passion for VR, and we just know it's the medium everyone is going to experience, especially next year with the Apple Vision Pro.
Yep.
I think it's going to bring it to a wider audience, and it's going to be good for everybody, really. And I think, as I said, this is a good time for this to be brought to the market. And I can't help it, draw sort of comparisons between this and the XR3, the Vari XR3, which I was so impressed with, and that was only a year ago. And now I'm here testing out a headset that feels exactly the same in build quality and visuals. In fact, actually, the spheric lenses are better in this, better field of view. This pass-through is so similar, and we're not going to need a subscription for it or anything like that. So, yeah.
No restrictive licenses, no with all the prosumer ultra deep license. Like it's open as we can get it, literally.
And I love the open nature of it as well. Yeah, superb. So yeah, I think 2024 is going to be a very bright future for flight simulation, and I can't say VR anymore. It's XR because we're moving into a new realm.
Yep.
And I'm all for it. I really am. Yeah, super.
I approve this message.
Thanks
a lot.
So much.
It was a pleasure.
I really appreciate it. And
thank you.
Yeah, it's been an amazing day. Thank
you.
Keep
pressing that like button, okay?
Yes.
Come on.
Can I do it again?
Subscribe.
It's not going to do it now. Oh.
I should.
You see.
I have to work. I have work to do still. All right.
Thanks so much.
See you, everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye.